selling with seller financing, most people, they kind of miss the boat or think, that's kind of, I don't know, it's hard, right? And Kim, what we want to teach folks is when they are selling with seller financing, that they're doing it right. They're doing it so that it's Safe Act compliant, because of Dodd-Frank, right? We want to make sure that you're making sure that your borrower can repay the loan. And simply put, that's basically what the Safe Act and being Safe Act compliant says. You just need to make sure your borrower can afford the loan, can afford to make their monthly payments. And so we're going to go through that in more detail and more depth. And, whether Kim, if you owe a little money on the house or if it's free and clear and you sell it with a note, again, you can sell a house that's got an underlying lien on it, right, by doing a wraparound mortgage. And we'll talk a whole lot about that when I'm there and we've got more time to expand on that. But I can tell you that selling with seller financing, what we're doing when we're doing that is we're opening up the doors to more deserving buyers that are out there. And I want to show you how to create a good seller finance deal. And Kim, I always tell a story, and I'll tell it real quick. And they'll probably hear this again at the one-day class that we'll do. But so it's been about 6 months ago, and this is kind of puts you. It seems, Kim, that when some people sell a house with seller financing, for some reason they just lose their mind, right? They just have no idea. So this guy calls me that apparently he had sold. I had bought a performing note from him about 7 or 8 years ago. Guy's from Temecula, California. So he calls me, and I remembered, kind of Temecula. I didn't really remember him, but anyway, so he calls me and I say, okay, you've got another, performing note you want to sell. And he goes, yep. And I said, okay. I said, so, let's talk about the house and the note a little bit. Right. And I said, so how much is the house worth? And how did you determine how much it was worth? He said, well, my friend is a realtor, and he did a broker price opinion for me. He did a BPO on it and said the comps say that it's worth somewhere between $195,000 and $200,000. And I said, okay. I said, what'd you sell the house for? He said, well, I sold it for $165,000. And I said, you just told me that the house was worth somewhere between $195,000 and $200,000. He said, well, Joe, it needed a little bit of work, so I sold it for $165,000. And I said, well, specifically, how much work did it need? And he said, about $10,000. I said, so why didn't you sell it to him for $185,000, $190,000? He said, I don't know. That's just what I did. And I said, okay, you're right. I said, so what did you do as far as vetting your borrower? Did you check the borrower's credit? Did you look at their income, or did you do any of that? He said, no. The guy told me he had bad credit. So, but I went ahead and sold it to him anyway. Hey, Kim, you know as well as I do, when somebody tells you they have bad credit, they probably have really bad credit. Because, you'll have people say, well, it's not perfect, but it's okay. But when somebody says, I've got bad credit, it's bad. So that was the second thing. So I said, okay, how much of a down payment did you get? And he said, that guy was going to do that work on it, the borrower or the buyer. And so I didn't make him put a down payment on it. I said, hold on just a minute. So you sold him the house for less than market value with bad credit, and you financed it for him with bad credit with no money down. He goes, yep. And I go, okay. So I knew where the conversation was going after that, Kim. So when I asked him, so what kind of interest rate did he, you're charging? And he says 3%. And I say, wow, that would be at a minimum 9, 10, 11, 12% loan, right? And then how many years did you do it for? And of course, it was 30 years. And then my final question was, so I just have one question, one last question. Is he paying you? And he says, well, Joe, he's paying me half the payment every other month. And so there you go. So we see this all the time in note school. We buy one-off, performing notes. And of course, this wasn't really a performing note, right? But No, it was not. But anyway,
No, it was
the
not.
moral of this story is we know how a note should be created by someone. And if I can, I'm going to tell you one other quick story. I was down in Houston in January, and I was doing a one-day class like we're going to be doing there on the 12th of May. And a lady came up to me at the end of the day. She said, I loved everything about today. And she says, one of the things that just kind of hit me in the face is when you were talking about seller financing. She said her and her husband had bought a house that they rehabbed completely, and they had it on the market for 2 or 3 weeks. They thought it would sell immediately, and they were having people look at it. The house was worth $300,000, and that's what they were asking for it. And she said, well, we're having some problem with people getting qualified, and, debt to income ratio for a lot of folks, or if you're self-employed, you can have problems proving all of your income and all of that. But anyway, so I said, why don't you try with seller financing, right? Put that in your ad. And when most people are putting, advertising seller financing, they basically just say, houses for sale with seller financing. So everybody in the world, whether you've got $1 or $1 million, they call on that, right? We're just going to tell you, look, basically, yeah, you can say seller financing, but say seller financing with a substantial down payment. So long story short, she did this. She called me a week or two later, and she said, Joe, we just wrote a contract on the house, seller financing. Said one of the people that called, we're asking $300,000. He had $100,000 to put down. So I said, that's great. That's 33% down, right? And she said, well, there is one challenge. And I said, okay. She said, well, the guy's credit score is 446. That's pretty bad, isn't it, Kim?
Pretty bad.
But, here's the thing. This man and his wife, they owned a business. She sent me, she redacted the name and all of that. And she said, look the credit report over and let me know what you think. And I said, okay. And look, Kim, this bad things happen to good people all the time. And this guy had a business that, for a while, and it was kind of right after, it's been kind of recent, and, because of the hurricane. Anyway, he had some bad things that happened in his little business. He couldn't pay his bills for a little while. Now he's paying them again, but he's got a low credit score for a while. So it's not like you look at somebody's credit report and they've never paid anybody. These folks had paid up until they had this problem in their life. They've since, gotten back on their feet. They're paying their payments again, but they're stuck with a low credit score for a while. So long story short, she sold him this house for $300,000 with $100,000 down at 10% interest for 10 years. And, she can sell this loan, this performing loan, at any time. So I just wanted to kind of plant those seeds in there so that people will kind of know where we're coming from. We want to show you how to create the right seller finance paper.